Ann Collins, your host, and we have returning guest Dave Marmer.
Yeah.
And today he brought some artwork with him, so basically we're just going to be talking about art some more, bantering, probably get into some art and social conversations. So really glad you're joining us today on Chattanooga Radio, 92.7 FM, AM 1240. I am a local artist. I have a website, Vanguard Artistry, and I'd love you to visit it, even though it's rather neglected. It gives you a little bit of an overview of my work, my poetry, especially in my blog is the poetry. So I hope you'll check that out, Vanguard Artistry. And, of course, I have work for sale also at the Street Corner Market, downtown Chattanooga on Chestnut Street. So you can check out a pretty large body of my work there as well. So, well, welcome back, Dave.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Very good. So good to have you back. And
yeah, thanks.
Glad you could bring some pieces today so
Sure.
we can talk about your art.
Sure.
Right off the bat, I love those of you who aren't watching. Dave's work is very active and colorful, and that's certainly the heartbeat of my own artwork as well. Lots of emotion, motion, and color. So what can you tell us about these pieces, Dave?
Okay. Well, last time I was here, I told you about the animals and waves. And so I brought an example of two of them. So
yeah, so Dave's going to grab a couple pieces here. We're going to talk about them. Got you tethered there.
Right. So I'm not as tall as I looked at first, but I just wanted to feel tall for a minute. Anyways, so this is elephant waves and elephants. So the elephants are in the waves. Like there's the tusk, there's the eye, there's the trunk. And for two of them inside the waves. So that's the idea.
Yeah, I see that. Yep. Now it's funny. Yep. So you got waves with animals, and this is just an idea you had, or is there a further significance to this for you?
No further significance. I just stumbled upon the idea. It just came, and then I like it, and I want to keep doing it. So that one is another example right there. That's a parrot in a wave. And, you know, like I said, I interpret water. It doesn't really look like a scenic painter's water, but I don't know. Don't you get the idea?
Yeah, it does feel fluid to me. And, you know, it feels like a whirlpool almost because of the motion there.
Little vortexy.
Yes. And then I'm kind of blocking this other one back here. I can move out of the way a little bit.
Well, I'll scoot it over for you.
All right. So there's another piece here. And these, if you're just listening and you're not looking, these pieces are kind of very vibrant brush strokes that create almost a circular or whirlpool looking motion or a vortex. And they're representing water and waves. And inside of them, Dave has worked in animals that incorporate into the waves. So they're very bright pieces and brilliant and active.
Right. So I'm not going to finish this one the way I was going to, but I created, it's like a comic strip, and I've done about maybe 30 of them, but I never published them, but it's called Surfer and the Shark. So I was going to have a surfer and a shark in that one right there, but then it started to get like more like a wormhole, and it's got more interstellar, and I thought that's not a good place for a surfer and a shark.
Well, see, that's the thing with artists. That is part of it. Art has its own mind sometimes.
That is a fact.
You start a piece, and even with poetry, same thing. You start it, and it kind of goes its own direction. At some point, you're trying to rein it in and go, no, I want to go here. It's like, nope, we're going this direction.
Right.
So that's what happened with this piece.
Yeah, it happens in writing, too, and improv, and a lot of other areas of the arts that you have an original idea, and then the piece itself takes you somewhere that you didn't think you'd go.
Right, and that's kind of fun, sometimes frustrating, but very seldom times, unless I've done actual representational or kind of photographic duplication, my artwork tends to go its own way. And at times it takes a lot of time to reconcile that in the mind, that this isn't what I envisioned exactly.
Well, it also makes people wonder about you, too. When you say, dude, I'm going to do this painting, and this is my idea, and then they see it, and they like it, and they're like, that's not your idea. And I was like, I know, it changed.
Yeah, and it does. That's exactly, you know.
It's true. It changes sometimes.
I ended up with a life-size mermaid from my Impression series, and it started out as a nude woman, but now it's this giant life-size mermaid. I call her Mystique. And she's almost done.
Okay.
And she's completing my series of impressions, which is nude models upon the canvas impressed on there. To start the painting involves human bodies and, I believe, totally their energy. You're putting your energy right onto that canvas, and from there, it can go anywhere.
So I have a question for you.
All right.
So if you make art in one place, but your market is another place, is that okay with you? Because that's okay with me. Like, there's some artists here in Chattanooga that are world famous, but not even known really by a lot of people in Chattanooga. Their market is not in Chattanooga; it's somewhere else.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine with myself too, Dave. You know, wherever my work connects, of course, I want Chattanooga to respond and to my artwork, and I'd love to have this new show in local galleries. But as I've shared before, because there are nudes in it for whatever bizarre reason, a lot of the galleries shy away from it. And I haven't submitted it to very many because I want a complete mystique. But even when I speak to them about it, there's a kind of this you know, it's a conservative community, you know.
But you know what though? If you own an art gallery and your people that your clientele you developed over 20 years likes a certain type of painting, like scenic painting, and that's what really sells, they don't want your painting. I'm not talking about those galleries because I don't know them or what happened with you. I'm just saying that sometimes you don't fit with their paradigm. And so, my art, I'm guessing this, and I bet you I'm right, but I think my art will sell better on the West Coast.
I think it's possible. And you know what? That's what Lit Gallery, the Palace Picture House, and the Arc Residency, all of the things going on in this modern renaissance in Chattanooga, that's what we're all trying to do, is kind of shake things up a bit. You know, art reflects society. Society reflects art. And art is changing.
Oh, so are people.
It's always changing. You know, right? If you go back to the masters and the types of painting in the old world and the masters, number one, you do see things like going on currently. But again, they were rejected when they diverged away from representational work.
Van Gogh's brother was an art dealer. He was in the epicenter of art in Europe, and his brother, he just had to fund his life. His art did not make any sense to anybody in the art world. But that happens in theater too. Just like there was a time in France when it was called bourgeois theater. It was just real fluffy. It was almost like sitcoms on stage, and it really sucked. And then there was this guy, Antonin Artaud. He was crazy. He was awesome, and he was innovative and visionary. And he did a play where first thing he did is came out and he spit on the audience, and then he writhed in pain on the floor. And he's in history books today. But the bourgeois, the ones that were making the money, and, people are like, I'm going to the theater to see the bourgeois, and Antonin Artaud was spitting on people and they didn't get it. But he did a play called Jet of Blood they call the unstageable play, and I want to do it.
Oh, yeah? I'll have to look that one up.
It's 4 pages.
Well, apparently there's going to be some venue space available at this new gallery, the Lit Gallery. So there's more opportunity for of all venues to create events,
right?
Promote the arts. So it's very exciting times going on in Chattanooga. And, concerning the work that I have talked about submitting, I have shown in Chattanooga. I'm currently showing in Chattanooga, not at a gallery, but with my whole own gallery wall at the street corner market.
Right.
And, but, part of the submitting of the other series is, number one, I wanted to finish it. Number two, I actually want it to be tied to breast cancer awareness and women who have been victimized, raped, abused, so I want to broaden it into that and combine the two things. So I've kind of held back submitting it because I would love to get the base under there with the breast cancer awareness.
Right.
But again, also with the abused women and things. So there's a lot of room there, but I've held back, and again, as I have spoken to galleries, and it's like you and I were talking about, no, it's the nudes. We're not comfortable with that. And I went to a gallery downtown and they had a sign disclaimer that they had a nude in the show, or nudes. I was shocked. And it's like I said, then why don't we have it when you enter Chattanooga? Warning, Chattanooga contains nude statues, all over the place.
I don't know, go in front of the Hunter Museum just to the right. There's a nude statue right there. So
the Market Street Bridge.
There is.
The Market Street Bridge.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I mean, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
I got an idea.
You're here to talk, Dave.
but I'm talking with you though.
Okay.
No, I got an idea from what you just said about that series that you want to do, you know, about women that have been abused. And I'm asking your opinion though. So the idea that came into my mind when you said that is I'd be interested in doing a painting called The Rapist. And if I did it well, it would capture like the soul of a man that does that. And that's like a character study. It's also an introspection. I'm not talking about positive. I'm talking about it gives a bird's eye view into a man of that mindset. Or woman, because women rape too.
Into the dark. Great point that you're bringing up here, Dave, because a lot of what we see, and then this is, I understand galleries need to make money. People come to visit Chattanooga. They love Chattanooga. They love to buy scenic paintings and beautiful pieces for their homes. But there is a huge place in the arts of all venues for the dark side, for the pain and the suffering of humanity. And all through history, we see this in the arts where, yes, we represent what's considered beautiful. But I am also interested in representing the victim side of things, the dark, the pain.
It's real. And it happens a lot. I mean, it does all over the world. And
yeah, like we just had a 7-year-old kid abducted and thrown over a bridge. You know?
Yeah, there's a lot of terrible things that happen. Human beings are amazingly sick and wrong in many ways. And, you know, we're all charged only to make ourselves as good as we can.
Yeah, I think it would be a scary, you know, your idea of the painting of a rapist. It's almost a frightening mindset to have to sit back and look into that mind. And how do you even begin to view the mind of a person who wants to bring harm upon another person? Because probably
start with research, like things people have written that study guys that do that. And, you know, research would be part of like how to understand that. And then, you know, express it. You know, I'd probably have to do a painting called Goofball about a 6-year-old kid that gets in trouble in 1st grade, you know, after that, because I wouldn't want to stick to that subject.
Right. You want to lighten your mind back up.
Oh, yeah.
See, I wish I would have brought my painting Survivor, because I've been through traumatic things like every other human being. And, you know, if I wrote a book, people would be like, whoa. And I've had to overcome a lot of victimization and things like that. And I did a painting called Survivor, and it basically looks like this woman crouched down with this long red hair, and she has Medusa-type tendrils coming out of her head, and it's very dark and fiery, and there's like a hand reaching up, and it's a small piece, but it's not what would be considered beautiful, and yet it's something that people respond to because they feel it.
But don't you think art has a place? Like, I wouldn't want to have a big painting of the rapist in my house. But maybe if I saw it in a series that was not just about rapists, but was about many different facets of humanity, that would fit in there because it's representing a part of humanity. There'd be other ones that could be really beautiful. You know, I mean, there could be things about people like Mother Teresa, someone who gave of herself, gave a vow of poverty, and helped out some of the poorest of the poor in India. And that was her whole life. And, you know, how would you do a painting of her, like if it was like my style, like, you know, to represent the soul of her, which is beautiful. But so there's all kinds of these facets of humanity, and art has a place, and things have a place. You know, I would not want, what's that painting, to scream. I wouldn't want to wake up in my bedroom and look at the screen.
That'd be a little scary. I think that as artists, you know, to produce works that are really part of our intellect and our view of society, our emotions, we have to be willing to produce pieces that maybe don't fit in the home. They become a collective voice for society and the arts. Yeah. So, you know, the screen was a great example.
But Diego Rivera did not create paintings for the house. He created murals that were social statements.
Right.
So that's how he did it. He never, well, I don't know enough about him, so I'm not going to start talking about stuff I don't know. So maybe he did do a bunch of paintings for people in their houses. I don't know. But all I know about is his murals and his wife.
Mm-hmm. So, well, that's the thing, is you have to be willing. I have to say that, you know, certainly as an artist, I've had to cling to my beliefs and my heartbeat in art and not paint for money, so to speak. I mean, I take commissions and things like that, certainly. But if I'm producing a piece on my own, I'm not going to care if someone wants to hang it or not. I'm going to paint it.
I think that's good.
You know,
that's the way I am. But like, portrait painters, there's some beautiful portrait painters. There's European portrait painters that wanted to do their own work like this, but they kept getting job after job with royalty and whatever. And they're like, man, I like the money. And they'd also get pissed and they'd go to the bar and get drunk because they were like an angry corporate dude that doesn't like his job but likes the money.
Yeah, and
so that happens, but some people probably like that. They probably like to do portrait art. And that's awesome because I'm not going to do it. You know, there needs to be all kinds of different artists to make the world go round.
Right. And that's the thing is I'm not raising one above the other at all. It's more of a personal, you know, their heart may be, I want to represent people. I love this. And
right.
I love people in my pieces too, but portraiture not as much. I'm more concerned with the emotional aspects, the feeling, the color and the energy into a piece.
Yep.
So that's kind of the difference in the modern art. And I met actually one of our radio station hosts, David Tulis' mom, who's from the old country, and she's quite elderly now. And she was kind of stating that, you know, modern art is so under par compared to the masters of the European artist days. And, you know, in one way I can see that when you go to the Hunter Museum and you look at these paintings, I mean, they have this representation of light with a bold splash of yellow placed there because that's how it really looked.
So you know who else said that? Donald Trump.
Well,
he said that modern day artists that do work like this he admires their ability to sell it, but he doesn't like the work. And he said that it's like lower standard than that work that you're talking about, which I actually love a lot of that old, like Renaissance type work. So I love that artwork, but that's like comparing the 18th century to the 19th century. Like they're two different centuries, different things happen. Different things influence the way that art is manifested.
Right. And I agree. I mean, I frequent the Hunter Museum. I'm a member, and I have my favorites there. And some of them have influenced my work, certainly, because what we put in our brain, you know, it's going to mingle in with the rest of our ideas. And again, I love all the Renaissance pieces, Impressionism, all of that. But I do see a change going on in art, you know, where now people are stepping out and working with more non-representational work, more energy and color. Like in your pieces here, Dave, I feel like there's a lot of you sensing the energy of the water as opposed to trying to represent the actual, this is exactly what the water looks like.
I think that's fair. Other people have said that. It surely doesn't look exactly like looking at the sea. I mean, it doesn't look like that at all. That one, I intended it to be a wave, and it looks more like a wormhole to me, but there's a wave in there.
You keep saying that, you're going to have to paint a worm coming out of there.
It's not a bad idea.
A wormhole. Woo!
Maybe that's a real good idea. Maybe that's a children's book.
Maybe.
The wormhole.
And
where you go into different times in history, and you go through the wormhole, and then you have different stories at different times. Yeah, I
love it.
Yeah, someone else is going to do
Now
that.
you reminded me of a book I read when I was a child.
Shouldn't have said it.
I can't remember the name of this book. Maybe you read it when I was a child, but this kid was walking along and he ended up going into this other world similar to a wormhole. And it was a door, like a Wrinkle in Time or something, I thought it was. But I don't know if that's the book. But
I don't know.
Similar mindset to what you're talking about, writing for, you know, maybe a little older child.
Yeah.
That's imaginative and
little 2-year-olds are very imaginative.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to create stories. So.
Sure. We can read a 2-year-old a story about a wormhole, you know.
We could actually do an improv. I used to do storytelling with 2-year-olds in a preschool where I would start. I'd be like, there was a blue monster, and then I'd point to one of them, and they'd be like, and he was also tall. And then we'd get a story going.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's fun.
That's really fun. Yeah, and 2-year-olds nowadays are like, you know, 6-year-olds of the past. They're the internet age, the level of education children can receive. Also, I believe that indigo children are for real.
What are indigo children?
They're basically children, like a couple of my grandchildren are like that, born in a heightened state of awareness.
Oh, sure.
I mean, my grandson, when he was 3, was asking me if we'd always be together, and I told him, I was reading him The Wizard of Oz, and I said, and somebody was dying in there, and he's like, "You're never going to die, right, Nani? We're always going to be together." And I had to talk to my 3-year-old about it, and he understands about the universe. The level of understanding of these kids is just simply higher in this like intellectual connected to the universe way. And
did he have a lot of love? Did he have good food? Did he have a safe bed? Did he have
it.
a nice environment and
All
cool
of it.
stuff to look at?
Yep.
Yeah, that always helps.
It does, because otherwise you're busy putting your energy into surviving.
Sometimes you're fearing for your life if you're afraid that your mom's going to hit you, you know, or your dad, or it depends. Like kids can heal from stuff just like adults can too. And I'm not going to start talking about what I've healed from, but I've healed from a lot of things. And
that would be a long show if we all went there.
It would be a marathon day.
Yeah.
2 days. 3 days.
I understand.
3 day show.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
We each should write our own book, I believe, that day.
I don't even want to do that. I just want to keep living my life.
There you go.
I'm done. I don't need to. I don't care about crappy things happening.
Right. Looking forward, moving to good things, creating artwork. So,
yeah.
You know, you've got your artwork going on. You're a musician, which I've yet to hear your music. So we've got to make that happen.
Okay, I'll bring something in here and play it.
When you're playing downtown, though, coming up.
September 13th at Conga.
So September 13th at Conga. Is there a name to the band, or you guys are just jamming?
No, I'm doing a Copacabana. I'm at the Conga. I'm going to do a Copacabana.
Awesome. So you can hear Dave Marmer, and are you playing with someone else?
We'll see. I have someone I want to be there, and if he is, that'll make it better. We'll see. I mean, I can get different people to come. If I do it by myself, I'm doing it Lounge Lizard style, maybe like a powder blue, like Tux and Copacabana, you know, like Barry Manilow at the freaking Conga.
Oh boy, just don't sing anything by John Denver, please.
I sing only original work that I make up because I did not prepare usually. So anyways, that's fine. It'll probably be an improv.
You create on the fly?
Most of the time I'm on stage. I don't know what I'm doing.
So you just get up there and let it rock, huh?
I like the times that I've prepared though. Those are fun.
Yeah, that's always nice.
It's a different way to use creativity. It's totally different. And there's people that are good at both. There's some people that are good at one or the other. Robin Williams was good at improv to the point where they were like, just let him make it up. But he studied at Juilliard. He could do Shakespeare. He was good at that too.
And it's so sad. I just to this day don't, you know, we never know what's going on inside a being, and that's one of the celebrity deaths that hit me the hardest is, you know, Robin Williams, because he's an icon.
He was loved. I was one of them. I loved him. I did. I would have loved to have met him.
Brilliant man. So, well, we got Labor Day weekend coming up in Chattanooga, so you can go on any kind of Chattanooga site and find a plethora of things to do in the arts. So, there's no reason to stay home this weekend or worry about fighting traffic.
WBLZ-HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga, WSDT Sunny Daisy.
CBS News. I'm Steve Caith, and there's been a levee breach south of Houston and 2 reservoirs.